Okay, in this video we're going to have a look at the states of matter and what happens to the states when we change state, and what happens to the particles in those states at different points. So you can see here what I've done. I've already set up my diagram to show the particles in a solid, and you can see they're arranged in rows, quite an orderly fashion, close together. These particles in the solid state are low energy. There's not a lot of energy for them, and therefore they just vibrate. So there's not a lot of movement for them. They're also attracted strongly to the neighboring particles. So this particle here is going to be attracted to all the particles in close contact with it, and this one here will be the same. The particles around it will have that high level of attraction. Liquid state, slightly different. So liquid state, the particles got more energy, and you can see that the particles are no longer in their rows. They've not got this nice orderly fashion that we had for solids. They've spread out now. There's space between them, and this space means that these particles can move. So this allows liquids to flow, and the attractive force between them has got a little bit less to allow that movement to happen. And the final state is gas. And gas, you can see in the same size space we have fewer particles. The particles got more energy and are whizzing about quickly. The particles are not touching, they can move very freely, and the attractive forces between the particles has become a lot lower, a lot weaker. So if we have a look at this in terms of changing state, here we have our solid. And if we take a solid and want to change into a liquid, then we undergo a process called melting. If you think about this in terms of ice is an example of a solid, and if we melt ice, it'll turn into a liquid, and that liquid is water. Let's look at the next change. So here we're going to go from a liquid to gas. So the name for that change that we undergo, we can have evaporation, or we can talk about boiling. Boiling happens at a specific temperature. So in our example of water, the boiling would happen at 100 degrees. Evaporation can happen at any temperature. It won't happen at the boiling point. It doesn't need to happen at the boiling point. We then go from gas. We're going to come backwards now. We're going to go from gas to liquid. So we're going to cool this down. Cooling this down to make this change happen is called condensing. And we go from liquid to solid. So we take water and we make it into ice. That process is freezing. Okay. Other things to remember here is that as we go this way, so as we go from a solid to a liquid to a gas and through these changes in state, what we're doing to energy is we are increasing the energy that these particles have in order for that change to happen. And if we go from a gas to a liquid to a solid, we are decreasing the energy involved. And if we just add a few more notes to this, just to help us really to make sure we've got that understanding. As we go from a solid to a liquid to gas, what we're doing here as well is those forces between the particles. So those forces between the particles start to reduce. And coming the opposite way, as we cool it down, going from a gas to a liquid to a solid, the force between the molecules starts to increase. The force between the particles increase. Okay, and that should cover key points: understanding how these are arranged, solid, liquid, and gas, understanding how the particles move, and understanding the names for the changes in state as we move from one to another and back.